Fred Baker, Counting Coup Tactical, here on the Ironsides podcast. Fred, welcome to the show, my dude.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm so stoked to have you. Like, there's been like this huge like anticipation of having this happen, and I'm being honest. Like, there's been a little bit of anxiety in making this thing happen for me because, to me, and I think to a lot of people, if I'm being honest, you're kind of like the man of mystery. You ever been described as that?
No. No. I had celebrity comparisons when I was growing up, and at the time it was Keanu Reeves, which is kind of like, at the time he was like the Vin Diesel thing was like, I don't know, whatever. Now it's like, all right, that's cool, but now I'm like the Chris Pontius, and it fucking sucks. Like, okay, now I want to go back to Keanu Reeves.
You want to be Keanu now?
Yeah, like
Keanu definitely has a more impressive career.
Yeah,
if
for
I'm
sure.
being honest.
And he's a real, like, in the real world, he's a real humble dude and shit. It's
for sure.
Cool. But no, mystery, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think so.
I mean, I think for me, like, the thing is when Fred shows up on, like, Instagram, right? This is how I know you. This is how I've gotten to know you. This is how I think a lot of people know you. And a lot of the questions that come up are always like, is this dude really the same way, like, in real life? But, you know, for me, it's like, this guy always has something very, like, whenever he says something, it's clear that he's been thinking about this for a long time, or at least that was my assumption. Like, he's got some thoughts in his head that he's trying to get out, and he's been kind of thinking about this. So when he comes out and he does it, it's very deliberate. But what I've learned, I think, this weekend is that those thoughts have always been there for you, and it's not something that's really hard for you. But as a quiet, like, I see you as kind of being the quiet guy, but when I've been around you this weekend, like, I don't see that. I just think it's like when Fred's only going to say what he feels like needs to be said at that particular time. Am I accurate with that, or am I way off?
Yeah, I don't appreciate the third person perspective, but no, like we talked earlier that, like, I was always surrounded by older kids or my dad's comrades with being in the military and stuff, and I always looked up to that. I never really had a lot of friends that were on the same age group or grade or whatever. Being in as a freshman on varsity teams and stuff, I always had these older kids, which I appreciate now because I was able to learn a lot quicker. I learned really quick to just shut the fuck up and take in the room because I was surrounded by people that had 3 or 4 or 20 years more of experience than I did. And I knew really quickly that I didn't know shit. I didn't know shit about fuck. And just being quiet and taking in the room kind of fucking allowed me to better understand, my surroundings, the world, where I need to go. And, looking back now, where I'm at and understanding what depression was. Like, I was an extremely depressed kid. And it made me think that, like, maybe that's just a common thing with kids because they're just trying to figure their shit out. But I really didn't have a lot of confidence and stuff with anything. And so that helped me just kind of, or maybe I should take a break and just listen to what people are saying and kind of fucking take a different route about things. Really, I was actually a really energetic kid. Apparently, like, when I was going through my VA shit, I was diagnosed with adult onset of ADHD. And the doc, when he said that, was like, that doesn't exist. You've always had it.
Yes.
You just grew up in the 80s and shit. So I had this very, like, energetic, not being able to pay attention to anything kind of attitude. And then I get slapped on, these higher end level sports and stuff. And I quickly learned that, like, I'm not the strongest, smartest, fastest kid. And I should just take a step back and kind of take in what these older kids have, which is maybe not a lot of experience, but
more than you had.
Yeah, it's more than I had. It's like little minute bits is better than what the fuck I'm carrying around with. So yeah, just I learned really quickly, unless I have something that's productive to fucking talk about, why say anything? Mm-hmm. And they go back with, like, what I talk about on my Instagram and stuff. It's about 50-50. There's things that, like, I have thought about for a long time and I like sharing, and then there's things that in real time come up either in the community or in news or whatever it is, and it does pique my interest, and I immediately go to my phone, and I just put my thoughts out there, and like to not purposely to provoke thought on other people, but just to like, I want to get my idea out there because I'm a fucking idiot, and I want to see what other people can bring in, and it's just for the most part, it's just a one-way communicator. I can't just talk to hundreds of people in that moment to get their opinions, because it's in the middle of the day. They're all at work and shit, so I can't go live and all this stuff. So I'll just throw it out there. I'll take the hit. Give me your feedback. And then, most people will give immediate feedback on the chats. There's a lot of people that will actually give beneficial feedback in the DMs and stuff. And it's super rare. I know it's different for everyone, but it's super rare to get like really hateful shit. There's some stuff that like is kind of poke fun, like
you're gonna get that.
I want to be that guy, whatever. But it's not meant to be hateful. It's just kind of maybe lazy, if you will. Like, I'm just gonna throw something there. But in the DM stuff, like, there are a lot of guys that disagree, but when they do, it's very much like, I disagree, and I think X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. So, maybe I'm a hypocrite as well. I complain about how much hate there is out there on that shit, but like, quite honestly, I have not received a lot of it. When guys do give it, I'll reach out to them and they respond accordingly.
Oh, like if you get some person that's sort of being a dick or whatever, you reach out like through a DM type of thing? Or
yeah, and I like reach out and say like, I appreciate, whatever it is you're doing, typically a bunch of meme pages and stuff, which is a different thing. Like I give I talk shit about meme pages and stuff, but I've also equally said that like they're needed in this type of age. It's like it's difficult. This is getting real deep on shit, but like it's really difficult to have a voice that's meaningful in any kind of sense. And at the same time, like the world feels like it's going to shit. It's always been going to shit, by the way. It's still around, but having that like. Having some kind of silly fucking comment that is also meaningful at some point, like, yeah, that's a good way to, that's a funny way, but at the same time that you laugh, but you're like, yeah, but that actually kind of makes sense kind of thing. So I give them benefit of the doubt for that stuff. Like, there's some shit heads that make meme pages. There's a lot of them that actually have good content that makes sense. It's funny. Got it.
Yeah, it makes a connection with somebody somewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then, but I reach out to those guys, and when it comes to talking to them, kind of directly, I guess, just texting shit, you figure out they like, most of them truly give a shit about what's going on, and they give their opinion, and they have actual data or whatever they want to specifics about where they come from their opinion. They're like, oh, okay, this makes fucking sense. It would be more beneficial to you if like you actually overtly portrayed like your expertise in whatever it is you're doing, but maybe they need some kind of clout, or I'm sorry, not clout, but they need some kind of discretion there, that they don't want to put too much out because maybe someone out there knows who they are and don't agree with what they're saying, and they work at their job and they need some kind of family security. So having dealt with that a lot is like, okay, I get that shit. Like they're in a, maybe like, I have made suppressor comments. I get these meme pages that talk about, you don't know what you're talking about, and they make really accurate and convincing fucking arguments about it. It's like, that guy's probably been or is in that that realm.
Yeah.
But he can't say anything because maybe he's getting paid by those individuals. He has a job. He needs that security for his family, etc. Yeah, so makes sense to me. But yeah, like, it's just a really fucking really, really weird world to be in.
It definitely is.
It must have been a movie in the 90s at some point about, this shit, and like getting lost in the fucking virtual world or whatever, and their fucking their culture and shit, and now we're living it at some point. So
yeah, it's interesting. So I wonder, you're just going back, you were kind of talking about your childhood. So, I don't want to dig too deep into that, but you said like,
I don't give a shit. I'll talk about whatever.
Okay. So the then let's do that. So you said that you were a depressed kid. Did you know that at the time?
No, I had no idea.
When did that like become very apparent to you?
When I was getting out of the military.
Oh, in the transition time.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that discovery, sort of awareness, that leads to your ability to be very patient, because that's what I see you as being. That's been my my experience this weekend. We can talk about that a little bit too, but that's been my experience this weekend, is that your patience in helping somebody to understand what they need to do in order to be better, right? And even when people may be pushing back a little bit, or in this case, we're talking about, the social media thing, you post something and then they're, somebody's being maybe you're perceiving them, or other people may be perceiving them, whatever, as a shithead. They're just kind of being like, you're digging here, and this is going a different direction. For you to be able to kind of step back from that situation and go, okay, well, this guy's coming from it from some perspective, and maybe I want to understand that, or need to understand that better. I wonder if that goes back to you just being, growing up that way, and understanding and being aware of, like, yeah, man, I wasn't exactly the healthiest, with regard to, mind and confidence at that time, and how that relates.
Yeah, I don't know if it goes back that far. Like, as a kid, I was really stupid. Not well.
What does that mean?
Like, it's just an atypical kid, like just ignorant to the fucking world kind of thing. I can't at that point relate it to, my experiences as a kid. Kind of translates to why I'm patient now. To be quite honest, I can't remember like 90% of my childhood.
Okay.
But like, I don't go back to any specific point that I can't remember that comes to being patient or whatever. I think like, if I can remember anything, like the catalyst was when I was an instructor at in the military.
Okay.
And it was not a good time in my life. It was when, like, now looking back, like all the TBI and PTSD was coming around. I was kicked out of my former unit. Just lost, one of my good friend's brothers, who we were good friends with him as well. He died in extortion while I was kicked out of the unit. So, like, I, was not there for that. Bin Laden got killed. Wasn't there for that. That was with the unit that I was attached to. And I had two herniated discs in my lower back, a herniated disc in my neck. I was fucking in so much pain every day. I would drive to and from work like this, and like had my foot on the gas just to be able to fucking make it there. I would kneel at my desk, my chair. I didn't use it. I would just kneel at my desk. And then I would have to go run 5 miles with the fucking students and shit. And I was just super fucking angry. But at the same time, like, I thoroughly enjoyed interacting with the next generation of fucking warfighters and all this stuff, and teaching them all the next, all the things they needed to be successful. Like, I'd have the handbook, and I made sure that I used my instructor voice when I was reading from the handbook. And then I'd be like, okay, now it's time to learn. Mm-hmm. And I would fucking teach them the real shit and stuff. It's like, I had to go through this. We're done with that. Here's what you actually need to know. But I let a lot of my, like, depression and anger and all that shit get ahead of me, and I fucking did not exploit the goodness of being an instructor there. And so, some of the kids there, like, enjoyed me as a lot of kids didn't, because they're just fucking pissed off all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where that came from. Like, man, I'm fucked up. Mm-hmm. And I need to learn to be okay with that. On top of that, having kids. So I was there from 2010 to 2012. I had my first daughter at 2008, my son in 2010. So I'm going through all this horse shit, personal horse shit, no one else's fault. I have 2 kids, trying to figure that shit out. And now I'm trying to teach, these men how to fucking live through inevitably what they're going to go to is...
That's a juggling act. That's a juggling act.
Yeah, and in no way am I trying to, like, justify my position there. It's just trying to set up the scenario. So looking back on it now, it's like that's probably where it came from. Where I need to I fucked up with my kids. I fucked up with those students, and I need to be able to empathize with whomever, even if it's the classic bum in New York City, fucking yelling at you on the subway. I need to be able to empathize and see where that's going, or where that guy is coming from, and give him the time of day. And that's all it fucking takes most of the time. Just letting people understand that there are people who give a fuck, and maybe that's the turning point for that individual, and then it doesn't turn into a fist fight, or it doesn't turn into an argument,
an altercation,
whatever. So that's probably where it comes from. I like to say that I don't have any regrets, but yeah, I most certainly have a lot of fucking regret. I completely fucked up my time with my first two kids. I completely fucked up, early years of my wife. Fucked up that opportunity as an instructor. Yeah. So, now it's about just listening to fucking anybody. You asked earlier about going on somebody else's podcast and shit. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'll go on anybody's fucking podcast. Let's fucking talk about shit. What about a white supremacist podcast? I don't fucking care. Let's go. Let's talk. And maybe I'll be made to look like a fool because this is what this is their job to kind of fucking put people in their place or whatever. But I don't give a shit. Maybe there's an ounce of I will get something out of that guy that will change the view out of everyone with this piece of shit over here or whatever. Or, I go with the opposite view of, people will probably think that I'm a conservative, right, alt, whatever the fuck, and I go on a liberal podcast or whatever. Maybe we'll get a chance and we'll see their fucking side. And again, empathize with what the fuck they're seeing at, and we can make this fucking connection. I don't give a shit. I will talk to people, we're not going to get anywhere. Just you being over there and you being over there, and we'll never talk because I don't agree.
Yeah, there's certainly a ton of division out there. It's interesting we're having this conversation right now in the direction it's going. I mean, it's May, right? This is mental awareness, and psychological awareness month. And, it was basically a year ago now where I got connected with several individuals, specifically in the mostly in the law enforcement community. And we talked about this stuff and that the most important part is being able to talk about it, right? And being okay doing it. Because there's so much, I don't want to get too much into it, but I think being okay with talking about it is one thing. There's a term out there, it's called vulnerability, but there's also a thing out there called honesty, and I think they go hand in hand. And then there's also a thing about compassion and care and all the things that come along with that. But I think what you're saying from a lot of the dudes that I've talked to, both, on the mic and off the mic, is that the important part is that you recognize these things about yourself first, so that you can help people understand and recognize they can recognize that about themselves. And that in and of itself starts the process of how can I be better, right? How can I can't unfuck the things I fucked up, right? Those are the things. But how do I move forward in life? How do I be better? How do I help an individual? How do I help another dude? And that's that's really where the baseline needs to kind of come back to. I've not lived anybody else's life. I've only lived my own. I don't have any of the experiences that you've had, but I've talked to a lot of people that have, and understanding those things and being willing to have that conversation is so important right now. In general, I'm a huge advocate for supporting the people and as first responders, as military, ex-military, or whatever else, and the challenges they're going through, and they need to hear from people like you that have said what you said, so that they can take the next steps. But that said, sort of moving away from what you know about yourself, that does say a lot about what I hear you say. And I had a hunch, in my gut, I'm like, yeah, this is a guy that gets it. He's been through a lot, right? I don't know that a lot of people that listen maybe to what you say maybe get that yet, because they don't they don't understand either themselves or they don't really understand the message you're trying to give. But that's the mysterious part, you know, or the mystery part that I kind of had in my own head coming into this. I'm like, this guy's got some stuff to say, but that usually comes with, we were having a conversation earlier about comedians, right?
Yeah.
And like the best comedians are the ones that have
the troubled past.
They have a troubled past. Yeah.
The mysterious one.
Yeah. There's some shit out there. Like you talk, the best ones, the ones that people follow the most, the ones that have the best podcasts, the ones that are, you know, all that stuff. They've got stuff out there. And you know, for a lot of people, it might seem corny or really out of touch, but I think there is a majority actually of people out there that really get it. And that's why they're drawn to you, right? And the things that you have to say. So moving forward, the things that you have to say obviously come from experience, and you've just mentioned quite a few things. And without getting into too much detail, you know, part of the mystery for me was I know Fred was part of the Air Force. I know he was working in, you know, some specialized units and whatever else. And, you know, the guy doesn't talk about his resume, and I think people really fucking appreciate that. I do, that you're not hanging yourself on that. But you're not hanging all the things you're saying on this. But there's some importance with that because with the relevance that I think you bring to the table. And so I wonder if you could just kind of give us like a Reader's Digest version of what it is that, you know, you did before we move on to the next things, because I think it provides context to some of the other questions that I have.
I mean, sure, but like I was probably average, you know, as far as what was done, both, you know, what we say white side and black side, whatever. Like I was very much average. I had 12 deployments, and that was right down the fucking middle. You're talking about guys that had like 25 deployments and shit. And this isn't even at the top level. Like you're looking at everywhere from Rangers to white side Green Berets to, you know, these guys, whatever. Like that's right down the fucking middle. There's a lot of dudes that retired, you know, 20, 25, 26, 29 deployments, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It's insane to me to think about. Like,
it's unbelievable,
the amount of time and exposure.
Yeah. I just did 12. So I joined in 2000 right out of high school. It's very much what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this.
There's a lineage here?
Yeah. Like my family had been involved in every single conflict in the United States since 1776 is when Christopher Baker signed his fucking pay stub.
That's amazing that you know those facts.
Yeah. Well, we have his pay stub. And then we have his sons. And then, you know, we have pictures of my great-great-great-grandfather went in World War I, and then my grandfather in World War II, and then my uncle in fucking Korea, then my dad in Vietnam, and into the Cold War and all this shit. So it sounds really corny and dumb or whatever, but I never knew exactly that I wanted to be a veterinarian or whatever, but there was always that fucking desire to like to leave the house. Like I love my parents. My parents are the greatest human beings on the planet. So there was no like, you know, fuck my parents, I'm gonna leave and you know, play with Nirvana or whatever. But
be an adult.
Yeah, like but there was I needed to go and I needed to fight. And that's not the greatest thing to say. I get it. Like, you know, we shouldn't kill people and stuff, but I needed to go and fight whatever the fuck. So there had to be something genetic there, like that's just built into that system. I mean, it's obviously documented in my fucking lineage, you know, and we always played good guys, bad guys. I had a gun in my hand my entire fucking, you know, childhood, whether it was plastic or whether it was cap and ball or whether it was a fucking actual, you know, automatic or whatever. I needed to go. I needed to do it. So when I was a freshman in high school, that was it. I was joining the military.
Did it feel like an obligation, or was it just no? It was a burning desire. You knew you were cut out for this.
It's what you said. You know. I feel like I should. I feel like I should contribute or whatever. But it very much was, I don't know if it's the right word, it's a selfish thing, but like the desire was there and I had to fill that desire. I had to fucking do that.
You know, it's interesting. Like I hear other guys that have done what you did or you've done. Again, they have their own stories and they have their own things, but that seems to be a common theme. And part of the common theme is two things. One, they have this desire. And then there's also this questioning, like, is that desire weird? Like you just said, right? Like that might not sound like a good thing. Like you have this desire to go fight, right?
Yeah.
And there's almost like a self-deprecation that comes along with this. Like I find this is a weird thing, and that there's like a dialing back. Like I know for some people they might not understand this. You're right. There probably are quite a few people that out there that may be listening to this or out there in the world that don't understand that. But I actually think there's equal or maybe more people that actually do. And the difference is what those who pursued and didn't pursue it. And, you know, those that did pursue, did they get what they expected or wanted or felt like they needed, or was there fulfillment out of that? And then those that didn't, how much regret do they have and what are they doing in their life now to, you know, try to contribute in some way and get something, try to find some fulfillment in something that they're doing that they feel like they're actually making a difference. That's an interesting thing. I don't know. Maybe what's your take on that?
Well, so I'll go with, like, I think what the majority of people think and what they think that I think is that we shouldn't, like, I shouldn't feel like I should go fight because, you know, I'm going to kill people or whatever the fuck. And that's not it. I think I don't know what the correct word is. I don't feel ashamed or whatever what I did, but I'm reluctant to say that I wanted to go fight because I think now, you know, as a grown ass man, that like we're fucking so much more capable than just fucking blowing each other up.
Right.
I think that I don't believe in destiny or fate or any of that shit. I think we're very much in control of what we can do as an individual, but as a collective, like I think humans are greater than just building a fucking atomic bomb. Like I think we should be way more progressed on this in life in general. I think we should be way past the fucking atmosphere doing other things. I think it's fucking super dumb that we're all in our little fucking collectives around the planet and that we're right, no, we're right. Like, this is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. And, you know, maybe it is a pipe dream right now, and I'm not ignorant to that. I'm not fucking, you know, a dreamer or whatever. But I just think this is fucking stupid that we're fighting over this dumb shit, and we're just mutilating each other. Mm-hmm. And our technology is completely based on weapon systems and shit. And it's like, man, let's get the fuck off this planet. Not that this place is bad, but like it's just a matter of our capabilities are way greater than you know, dropping hand grenades from a drone. Like, let's get out of here. Let's look at some shit. Let's explore this fucking galaxy. We're you know, if you believe in that, we're destined to be something greater than these emotional fucks on this planet.
And we're holding ourselves back.
Absolutely. It just blows my fucking mind. And so that's where that comes from. It's not a matter of like, I don't think I should kill people. Like, if you're an asshole and you're going to ruin some people's lives, like, you know, eternally, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
But like, in general, I think we should, you know, kumbaya, all come together, whatever. And let's progress this race, this human fucking race, and get the fuck out of here and start exploring shit. Like, so corny, but like that movie, what is that movie? Interstellar. Like fucking my man, fucking what's his name? Like talking about like we're explorers and this and that. We gotta like absolutely. That was like perfect line. Like this is not what we're meant to do. We got to get the fuck out of here. We've explored the planet. Let's move on to the next fucking thing. That's what made us fucking great. That's what progressed our technology. That's what progressed our fucking culture. Let's get out of here. I'm sure there's somebody out there like, yeah, we progressed it and we had slavery and all this shit and like whatever. You know, we all come from dark pasts.
No one part of the journey.
Yeah, no one here is a fucking saint. Right. You saying that you stole something, you fucking whatever.
You owe me this.
Yeah, like get out of here. But yeah, let's get the fuck off this planet. Let's keep exploring. Let's keep expanding. And progress our technology to get better, which is another thing. We won't talk about that. We won't get into
that rabbit
We
hole.
won't get into aliens and all that shit.
Go
Yeah.
down that stuff. Yeah. We'll save that for later. That kind of got started a little bit earlier, and I was like, oh, that could be a good conversation. A different podcast.
I love that shit.
I
Dude.
reserve the right to have that conversation with you.
Absolutely. I love that stuff.
On record. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I believe it. I'm not saying that I understand it. I'm a fucking caveman. I don't understand shit.
But you love it.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It's better than talking about if multicam is better or Flecktarn's better. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I got that from you today too. Yeah. That was excellent. That was excellent. So sort of last question on maybe not complete last question, but specific. Like, so in terms of your drive to do this and in terms of serving, right, and going off and doing the things that you felt like you needed to do. Again, there's a lineage there and all that other stuff. Do you feel like you made a difference?
On a general level, no, I don't. On a general scale, like large scale, worldwide, no, I did not make a difference. Period. Didn't do it. It did not happen. We fought 1, 2, 3, 4. We fought five wars, and nothing has changed. If you want to get it's maybe worse. We progressed, Russian and Chinese expansion, etc. It has not gotten better. Now on a personal level with maybe my kids or something, like, yeah. Maybe I have.
Yeah, good.
And so there's that dilemma. Like, is that a selfish thing to feel okay with making my kids feel good about me as an individual? And at the same time, like, ruining people's fucking lives around the fucking world and maybe destabilizing the fucking entire planet where we sit as America.
It's quite an economy.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, there was an amount of maybe, like, I just didn't have a choice. I was doing my fucking duty. Mm-hmm. At that time, my mindset wasn't there, and I was just going forward and being a good soldier or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't, in that regards, like, regret that shit. I did what I did. I did have specific moments where I know I changed a person's life, and they fucking directly told me that I did. Doing hostage rescue or going in and going on target, and there were individuals there that we were unaware of that were, prisoners or there, but did not want to be there. And, you can see in tears in their eyes and thankful that it's over kind of shit. So there's individual, moments or lives that we like, and maybe that's all it takes. Maybe it's the butterfly effect kind of thing. I don't know. I will never know, which is, the shitty part of it. But no, man, like, in general, for everybody, if I'm not being a selfish fuck, for everyone in the planet, no, I didn't do anything good. Nothing good came out of that shit. We just didn't have a good plan. We didn't have an end state. We didn't have fucking a way to get out of something. We just kept rolling and rolling and rolling.
I think there's a lot to that. I mean, that's probably a whole other topic for another time. But I think it's an interesting perspective. Let's move to the next part, which is like kind of the transition out. Let's get out of that, and moving forward. So, for what I get when I talk to people that have been in this world is that there's a point, and you're either forced or and there's like this power band that kind of crosses, over, and you recognize, like, okay, I'm done. And then there's the choice of, like, now what do I do? And coming out the other side, and that transition part being very, very tough, for a lot of reasons that we don't have to get all into. But I wonder, like, as you're transitioning, how do you wind up here? Like where you're at now. We can talk about what's going on with Counting Coup and Precore, and we can talk about Mike a little bit and those things. But I wonder, like, if you're coming out the other end, and maybe you're aware of this. I don't think I made much of a difference at this, but now I have to move on to the next thing. how do you choose, where's your head or your mindset in regard to the transition out to what you're doing now? Did it just happen organically? Did it kind of hit you in the side of the head one day? Like, how does that work? Because I think there's a lot of people out there like you that are like, I can still contribute somehow. I'm just not maybe sure. So maybe you can kind of share your experience there.
Yeah. So no, there was no like crowning moment at the point. It was kind of, 20 years is coming up, and I felt like I was obligated to do so because my wife had been part of 15 years
She had
of
to deal
my
with
20
it.
years. And I was like, yeah, so, I guess you can consider that forced. I should do this. So going through the process, part of it was going to NICO. I'm sure you've heard National Interpretive Center of Excellence.
Okay.
It started out as a TBI center. So it's right up there in Maryland. Right, I can't remember the name of the hospital, but it's where every injured soldier went to up in Maryland.
Okay.
And then they needed TBI specialists because this was a new thing or whatever. So they just built this facility across the street, literally across the street, that deals specifically with that. And then as it became more popular, like, you know what, why don't we just do everything? So, like, we'll do TBIs, but we'll do MRIs on everything. We'll get them into, doing artwork for mental kind of decompression stuff. We'll do all this other
alternative
shit.
therapies.
Everything. So they just reached out to everything, did everything. Like, it's where I found out I had sleep apnea and all this shit. So they do it all. It's meant to be a place where operators who are like 12 years in go to get better so they can continue to operate. And it kind of like slowly went towards the end and morphed into like kind of I'm going to get all my records done for when I retire.
To transition out.
Yeah. So, I went to my counselor at the unit and was like, listen, I know I'm fucked up, but I have no idea what or why or whatever. I at least want to get this shit documented before I get out. So I went and did it. Fucking awesome program. Cannot recommend it enough. Like, go to NICO. If you get the chance. If you don't, demand it. Like, go to that fucking place. The people there are fucking excellent.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, it was the best, like, 4 weeks as part of my transition that I could ever get. There's stuff there that I had no idea. I had ADHD, apparently. I had sleep apnea. I had insomnia. I had no idea of any of this shit.
Yeah, if you don't know, you can't work on it.
You have no idea. People who are generally like depressed and all this shit, they don't know that they are.
There's a term out there that's rocking around, that's going around right now. It's actually well documented at a lot of levels. I've had the opportunity to talk to a few professionals in the world. It's called operator syndrome.
Yeah,
right. And this is where they discover this stuff. Like, there are some very key indicators, and there are pathways to get better. There's pathways to, go through certain treatments or certain protocols or certain, let's just say, healthcare measures and awareness creation measures to help put people in positions to not have to go through all these things. And the biggest discoveries that these professionals are getting from this is this gal, her name's Dr. Rebecca Ivory, who's worked specifically with SEALs that I've talked to in the past. And the biggest thing is like the awareness, like, holy shit, that's exactly what I'm feeling.
Yes.
Like, or that exactly happened to me. And there's 10 other guys that I talk to all the time that have that shit going on right now, but nobody's telling them that this is typical.
Yeah.
And those guys aren't generally talking to one another about it, or whatever. So, again, just going back to what I was saying before, like, I think that people need to understand it's okay to ask for help, and that there are resources out there for them to do that. And even if you just learn one thing, right, about yourself that you maybe know before, it kind of sets you up for success. At least that's what I've seen. There's data to support this, but there's also there's just the true stories that you hear, and you just told one. So, yeah, I appreciate you putting that out there and just, kind of giving the word for people that are unsure, because I think there's stigma attached to this.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, there was. it has gone away.
Changing.
The problem is that the ghost still exists there. One in amongst the troops who don't want to talk about it because they've heard that. One amongst the leadership who still thinks that those rules apply. That's not the fucking case. Like
you have to acknowledge that there's a problem.
Yeah, you can have PTSD and you can own guns. That's fucking horseshit. You can have depression and you still serve in the fucking unit. That's fucking horseshit. Like all this stuff has been done away with. It doesn't fucking exist anymore. Just because a guy has a depression doesn't mean he's getting thrown out of the 82nd Airborne.
Yeah,
it's fucking dumb. That was the case many moons ago. It doesn't exist anymore. You can be on antidepressants and be in the fucking military and serve in your unit. It's absolutely acceptable. There's still some things we can work through, like sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is like a pilot is still kind of like you got to get waivers for, which blows my mind because why wouldn't you want your pilots to be well rested?
Yeah, let's take care of them.
Right? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's no different from an individual laying horizontal in a bed and getting full night's sleep, and then this individual can't do it, but without a machine. But the machine's on his face. But when he leaves the bed, he doesn't take the machine with him to the fucking plane. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. Which gets into like steroids in the military.
Right.
I won't talk about that. I won't talk about getting operators' T levels up above 400.
Oh,
which is fucking ridiculous. But anyway, yeah.
Again, another conversation for another time.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Those that know, right, and understand the complexity of all of that.
Yeah,
right.
It's fucking stupid.
It is stupid. It is. There's stigma. And
there's healthy ways to do it, and I can guarantee you that the Russians and the Chinese are not doing it in a healthy way, and they're producing these fucking mutants out there, and we're gonna have to fight those guys at some point. It's stupid. No one's. If you're not cheating in war, you're not gonna fucking win.
That's interesting. That word cheating for me is like, but hold on,
it's not.
Yeah, it's not cheating at all.
But that's the mindset. Is we're apparently we're playing like an Olympic game or some shit.
It's like taboo, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some committee that's saying like, oh, this isn't right from a moral or ethical perspective. Yeah. Like we shouldn't be doing this shit. You have somebody that's flagging right on every test possible that this is not okay. Like this person is going through some shit. Like from a data collection perspective, like, like you got blood tests that we know, like we've moved the goalposts on to justify that this is okay.
I can tell you right now, I was on antidepressants, I was on antipsychotics, and I was on a nerve pain medication.
Blocker. Yep.
Yeah. And at some point, like I got out of the military, I always wanted to go on testosterone to get it because, I got tested and I was like, at some point, I was like in the low 500s or whatever. And
at what age? At what age do you remember?
26. I'm sorry. 29 was the first time I got tested. 34 was the second time I got tested. It was 560, and then 510. One was taken like in the late morning. One was taken in the early afternoon. Whatever the fuck. Anyway,
there's a lot of factors that go into those tests, but that's. When you're looking at numbers, right, and averages and things like that, like as a 30-year-old male, like, and again, I try not to give, this is the other side of the house when we talk about fitness and health and things like that on this podcast, like people chasing a number is not a good idea, right? Because everybody has their own individual number, but we do know that, these guys that are working out, that are generally healthy, that, are eating the right way or should be eating the right way, when they're not eating the right way, when they're not sleeping, when they're being stressed, when their cortisol levels are through the roof, when they don't sleep, when they're constantly being, pulled out of a regular routine to go be deployed at any moment and go deal with these things, like these numbers change. This is not mystery. There's no mystery.
No, it is a mystery, apparently.
Yeah, that's my point. So again, like while we don't have to go down that path, like to think that that's taboo, when we're giving 16-year-old females birth control, which is basically hormone replacement theory.
When women go on menopause.
Why is this not exactly? And they're being given testosterone or estrogen, whatever it happens to be, right, to balance this thing out. Why is it taboo to be talking about a 30-year-old operator and those numbers? Like that is a thing, man.
It's very much like, not to get in the drug issue, but it's very much like, you know, my dad's generation marijuana thing. Like it's you know, the thing is marijuana is gonna make certain people high, and they're gonna want to rape white women, and so we need to ban all fucking hemp and all this shit. And like, it's so fucking dumb. And that thought has continued on through the ages, and now marijuana is just this gateway drug's gonna kill everyone. It's the same thing with testosterone. Like, you know, people get caught, you know, cycling for fucking, you know, 5 different fucking trophies, and we can figure out they've been testosterone, and like it's evil or whatever. Okay, whatever. But like, so to get back to this story, like, so I was on all these medications. When I got on testosterone, I started getting the pellets and stuff.
Okay. Which is a way to do that without having to be dealing with needles and all that stuff. Yeah, which is a thing. Yeah.
So I got on the pellets, still on the drugs. I got invited to do this journey. So do mushrooms and do Ayahuasca. I can't even fucking pronounce that thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. There we go.
Been there, done that, man. I've been through the process.
Yeah, so I got invited to do that, but I had to come off the drugs.
Yep.
Which is not a good thing. Like I had missed days on those drugs, and it fucked me up really bad. Mm-hmm. So I was really terrified about like the after effects of coming off of that. But that was when I was not on testosterone. And then, like, you know, I gotten on these medications for a couple of years, then got on testosterone. But at that point, I learned, like, don't skip a day. So I never skipped a day while I was on T.
There's an issue with pellets, too. We could go down the road with that, but okay. Yep.
But then now that I've been on testosterone, have been taking drugs, was asked to come off the drugs to do this journey, I made a plan on the calendar for 2 weeks. Like, I'll take a day, skip a day, take a day, skip a day, and then at some point skip 2 days, off, right? And then whatever.
There's a taper.
Yep. And I did it, but on the second day that I was supposed to skip, I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. Like, I have missed days before, and I fucking knew exactly, like, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm seeing the 6th dimension or whatever, and you know, I would look, and it's like the frame rates was so slow that I wasn't keeping up with what I'm seeing, and I would get really dizzy and all this shit. But I was not feeling that. And so, like, the next day I took the meds, and the next day, you know, went through the whole day, didn't feel anything. You know what? I'm going to just forego the schedule. I'm going to go another day, see what happens. Nothing the next day. It's like, I think I'm good. I'm just going to not do it. And then I remember talking to like 3 different buddies of mine that they had gotten out at the unit and had gotten on testosterone. And they're like, I never took any medications ever again. And I remember that at that moment, I was like, oh shit. And like, I went on testosterone. Mm-hmm. I never taken fucking any medication ever again. Like, I have moments where I get depressed kind of shit, but I realize it. It's not like, what's wrong with me?
There's awareness.
Yeah, like, what is going on with me? But I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the moment right now. Like, what the fuck, you know? Nerve damage is still kind of a thing. Like, it still comes around. Like, the pain still comes around, but it's nothing that's unmanageable, whatever. The antipsychotic was because the nerve, the antidepressant wasn't working enough. So I was taking antipsychotic to kind of boost that.
Yeah, this is a very normal process. Yeah, so like, whether you're coming from this world or a completely other world, like,
oh no, like,
you're doing one thing. You're doing one thing to twist or turn the system over here.
Yep.
If you turn this dial, you've got to toggle this switch. Like, that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it came off the meds immediately. Like, no issues, no side effects, nothing. I don't get into those like deep ruts that I used to get into and just wonder what the fuck is wrong with me. Listen to Nirvana, whatever. Yeah. And so that was one of the first times that like something actually worked, that somebody told me when they got out, like, you know, you should do this. And like, holy shit, that actually fucking worked.
Right.
You know, getting on testosterone. I was saying like everyone should do it, but like, you got to get tested and all this shit.
There's a process to doing this, and you were going through that process.
Yeah. And I have been trying fucking everything. It very much was not like I'm looking for the out for all that. I have been doing everything, and I'm still struggling with this shit, but I've been doing everything to just get back to fucking normal.
This is the thing. This has actually been covered on the show before, again, sort of on a different side of the house, but with regard to depression being not necessarily misdiagnosed, but in some cases, I actually had a doc on the show who works in longevity medicine. He says, this is a misdiagnosis. This person is just hormonally imbalanced, which has downstream effects, which can create this, right? And that by, again, twisting the dial, it's not like, for people listening or whatever, again, chasing a number, you mentioned the number 5, somewhere in the 500 range there. People are like, well, yeah, you got to be at 1200, you got to be at 1500. That is ridiculous. There's a number for everybody. You got to find the right one for you. And that's why it's important that you have this process that you go through with somebody that can do this with you and for you and be an advocate for you. Not just somebody just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what happens on the back end, but that hormonal balance, just like on the female side of things, can completely change everything. And so I think it's very misunderstood, but I think you're doing a really good job of kind of articulating, like, when you adjust things the right way, it can down-regulate a lot of these other things that you may be feeling or dealing with.
And you might have to, and it really fucking sucks, I get it, but you might have to try a lot of fucking things.
It's a process.
Do not get depressed after the first, second, fifth, whatever thing that you do, that there will be something that will finally click. But
I went through an 18-month process to figure it out for me.
Yeah.
It's a long time, man. It feels like a fucking eternity.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, the journey thing was interesting, and just because I'm interested in the universe and shit, it was fucking. Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome. Yeah, but it allowed me to kind of figure out, like, my interest in worldly things was not, it is profound, it is there or whatever, but I really wanted to focus on, like, my relationship with my kids and stuff. And
that's coming back to the baseline. Yeah.
I did get a really cool answer with one of those things, and I can share it if you want. I don't give a shit. But when we did, it's funny to say we did mushrooms. I'm sure everyone's thinking we're like just eating. Where they see like super troopers and we're just eating a fucking bag of mushrooms.
Through my own journey, I know the realities of
very
this.
medicated, very fucking regulated. The guy is right there. Like, you only get so much.
You're being guided.
Yeah,
is the right way. You're being coached through this journey.
Yeah, yeah. We're just eating a sack of fucking mushrooms.
Yeah, you're not sitting around in front of like Nirvana on TV.
Yeah.
Like watching old music.
And believe me, I was there too. Like, I never did a drug in my life, and like I. Same thing. I would have the same visualization, like guys wearing like, not bell-bottom jeans, but like skater jeans and just eating a sack of mushrooms.
Yeah, right, man.
But doing the mushrooms, like you go into this place that was very fucking very familiar, but it was very like very curious at the same time. So like it was familiar, but you could explore and you wanted to because you're not.
It's a container of safety.
It was super weird. Like I very much was in space, kind of thing. Whatever. A lot of people are gonna fucking kind of like shrug their shoulders at this thing. And that's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. My daughter is approaching 15. She'll be 15 very soon, and let's say, so before you go into this thing, you kind of set like a goal that you want with Mother Earth and all this stuff. And I'm like, I want to, mend our relationship with my wife and kind of like bring that back to what it used to be and kind of thing. And what they tell you is that like, you're going to set a goal and you're going to expect something like we talked about today with like, you're looking for this deer. You're never going to see the deer. You're just going to see a little tail, a little hoof, whatever. So it's going to give you what you need.
It's going to give a clue.
Yeah, it's going to give you what you need, not what you want. Which and this made complete sense because she was our first kid, and we had her like immediately after we got married. So we never had like that time period where it's just us. We grow, figure each other out, then hey, let's have a kid. And there's no regrets for having this kid. She just she definitely was. Exactly what we needed. But it's just telling me that she's like the focal point of where all this shit is coming from. Not shit, I can't say that. Where like this, starting point is coming from, I guess. where I need to go back to if I want to fix this thing. So long tangent, but like what was going on. And by the way, like while you're doing this, you're very much in control, which is really crazy. It fucking blew my mind how it wasn't a dream.
You're very aware. Like if you're in the moment, you're being coached and you're in the right space. It is there's so much clarity. It's almost scary how much clarity or how clear it can be.
It's scary like after the fact when you think about it, but in the moment you're like, yeah, you know, you're in a game. Like I can go anywhere and do anything I want. It's not like a dream where you're following your brain's narrative, whatever it is.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. But my daughter was there, and she had this holster on with a gun in it. And there was like this problem, this puzzle on the holster.
Interesting.
And, you know, I wanted to go in and help her. And I think I actually reached out a couple times. And I don't remember if like I resisted or if something resisted me. And this is like, you know, just let her do it. And she finally figured it out. And she was able to take the handgun out, and she pointed right at me and shot me.
Wow.
And I was like, man, what the fuck? You know, and I'm not a very excitable person about things, which kind of pisses a lot of people off. You know, like,
it's part of the mystery.
Aren't you excited? Like, we were at Disney World, and like, we're not there yet. You know, we're still in line, kind of thing. Like, I'll be excited when we get in that fucking thing. But so you know, I wasn't very terrified by that thing or anything, but I was very curious about the fuck. Like, I'm not like, I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies, you know, so I'm sure this has some meaning behind it. So I'm like very like trying to like dig into it and shit. And it was very much like she's our first fucking kid, you know, and she's definitely our problem child, but it's because she's extremely capable, extremely fucking smart.
Independent.
Yeah. And you know, because I don't know how to describe it, the parents are very much in the way. You know, she's got it. Mm-hmm. There's some things we can like tell, like, hey, you know, don't put your hand on the stove, whatever the fuck. But very minuscule shit. She's got it. So I very much need to like let her figure it the fuck out. There's no way she was gonna hurt herself figuring out the puzzle. She's got it. Let her fucking deal her thing, and then she's got it out. And then at some point, you know, her shooting me is like, you know, I'm always gonna be so. Wanting to be there to help and like be with, like, I got to be able to just fucking let it go.
Yep. I think you're doing a really good job of telling the story. I had a very similar journey myself, and I can't talk about it or I'll get super emotional. But I think I feel you. And I think there's this, what you're talking about is not an uncommon tale just in the bigger scope. I think a lot of guys are discovering this, and they're recognizing how helpful and how life-changing and game-changing this can be. And I think, you know, for a lot of people, I think it's very necessary. You know, for some people, they're going to be very apprehensive about it, because this is what I'll say on that. Like, when you go through this, you better be prepared. There has to be an intention there.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
To get to something. You might not understand exactly what that's going to be, but there has to be intention there to want to discover and understand things. And if you're not ready for that, that's where it can be. And it's scary. Like I was terrified kind of going into it. Just like, I'm not quite sure. I think I figured it out. I think I know, but you don't know until you know, kind of thing. And when I got there, like there were moments, but coming out the other side of it game changer, life changer.
Like to tailor on what you're saying, like I'm never committed to anything, but I'm never really apprehensive of things, and I'm never okay. Like, you're gonna give it a try. I'm open-minded,
right?
But I'm never fully committed because I don't want to be that vulnerable and get attacked, kind of shit or whatever. So the mushrooms were very fun, but the
ayahuasca,
fucked me up. Mm-hmm. It let me know that I had an ego, that I was not there for, that I was not fully ready. Mm-hmm. to take it when it had, and it fucked me up big time. Yep. It was funny because there's a buddy of mine, a former teammate, that was there as well, and he was a very aggressive dude and shit. Same thing.
Oh,
like,
it'll get to you.
They're like our guys that were just like you and you were like fighting the whole night, not
Right,
each
and you're
other.
not aware. You don't know about this. You have to hear about this from somebody else.
We weren't fighting each other. We were sitting there on our beds, just fucking fighting ourselves, basically.
It can be. People have very different reactions. I was in a room with not a lot of people, but enough people, and to watch the different types of reactions that happen, I think says a lot, and it can be very overwhelming. So,
and that's not. I'm sorry, that's not to terrify people. Like everyone has different reactions, and then even with the individual, every time you go, completely. When I went, we had 2 guys. We had maybe like 15 guys there. We had 2 guys. It was the 3rd and 4th time that they've been, and that was their final time. Like they
that was it for them.
We do like a after action at the end. We'll each experience whatever.
Debrief,
and both of them were like in tears. Like I figured it the fuck out.
Yep.
Like I love myself.
It's cathartic.
I figured it out. Yeah, it was super cool. The one guy's story was super fucking crazy. I can talk about it, whatever. But he drank the fucking tea. And he said he had this fucking amazing experience with his daughter and his fucking mom, and his mom, I think it was mom. And so he had taken this tea and had this beautiful experience. And then he had gotten up and walked outside the building. We were in this Airbnb or whatever. Walked outside the building. It was probably like 4 a.m. Went on his knees and watched like, the sun is like kind of coming up. So it's not really sunrise, but it's kind of like bluish hue or whatever. And he was just like looking at the stars, and then he threw up just a little bit.
Purging's part of this.
Yeah. But when you explain this, like, he's purged before. This is like his 4th fucking time. He's like, I just threw up enough to let me, not to hurt me, like I have been before.
Yeah.
But it's just the gift. Like Mother Earth was in me, gave back.
Yeah.
And it just went back, and I felt fucking at peace. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have that fucking experience, dude.
I
was just shitting my ass the whole fucking night.
It leaves you wanting. I think that's it's really good to hear you talk about that, because I think for a lot of people listening, they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fine. Like
I was there too. Never did drugs my entire life. Got it.
Same.
Totally was there.
So, yep. It's a different thing, but the clarity that it's giving people and how it's changing things, I think for a lot of people, and they talk about it publicly. If you spend enough time in this world and you listen to podcasts and you read books and whatever, you spend enough time on Instagram, you're gonna run across those people, particularly in this genre, particularly with again, people with similar backgrounds as you, is that how helpful it can be for them. It's not for everybody, and I get that, but I'm a huge advocate again for people doing whatever it is they need to do in order to be better. And so I sort of transitioning out of that, just in being better, there's this transition for you ultimately into this business, right, that we're in. So this is a hard tangent. So I mean, I don't want to wreck it, but at the same time, like, I think it's important that we talk about like kind of how you're contributing, because what you just explained answers so many questions for me about kind of what I see you providing, to the space and to the greater whole, and then spending the last 3 days with you and Mike and the entire group that we had here in Georgia answers a ton of fucking questions for me, and it gives a lot of context to what I heard, what I experienced, and what I'll take away and continue to process. But what's interesting is that there's a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Well, let me just back it up. We live in a very weird space. We talked about the Instagram thing and people being tools and whatever, and saying whatever you're going to say. And then you have people that are contributing a very specific type of content. I don't know if there's anybody that's out there doing... No, that's not true. There's maybe 1 or 2 other people that I know, one specifically I know well, that's contributing similarly to the way you are, which is like, I'm just going to talk about this, right? This thing, whatever it happens to be. And this is what's on my mind, what's in my heart, right? What's in my gut. At the same time, like there's a connection here, and I'm not sure how you're going to receive this, but I feel it's important for me to talk about it, and I'm just going to put it out there, and we'll see what happens. I wonder how you got from what we just talked about to there, because you don't strike me as the type of person that's going to feel really comfortable turning on their fucking phone on a tripod or setting it up, like in the gym or wherever you happen to be in your yard or wherever you are in the world, and just talking to the phone, right? Like talking to the camera. A lot of people have to have somebody else to do that with. For me, like standing in front of a camera and talking, it's like that was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life. Like to get myself into that position to be like, who the fuck, number one, who wants to listen to whatever the fuck I have to say?
I still ask that.
This is weird. Like, this is just fucking weird. Secondly, like, what am I going to talk about? And like the third thing, and I think the bigger thing for me is like, I don't want to say anything. Well, it's not that I didn't want to look dumb, but if I'm going to say something, I want to say something that has value or meaning. Like it brings something to the table for people. So I wonder how your experience was going to that from where you were, because what you were living before was in a very, and I say dark, just not in the like the emotional sense. However, I'm sure there's quite a bit of that probably exists there at some level, but like you can't talk about stuff. Like that's not what you do. You do a very specific job with a very specific group of people, and it is very, very much in the background, and it is not for other people to know for a lot of reasons. There's OPSEC, there's trust issues, there's all of these things. How did you get to where you're at now? Like with the Instagram thing and with specifically with Counting Coup?
Well, so first of all, I can't talk about that stuff. Like that's kind of a stigma that has. I don't know. The joke was like, if I have to tell you to kill you kind of thing, and that's kind of stuck for years. I don't know why.
Okay.
No, I can't talk about that stuff. What I can't talk about is names and places and methods and shit like that. So, if someone says that, it's kind of an indicator, like, whatever. I can't talk about that shit. Like, yeah, you can. But I say that, but like there are some diehard, dedicated operator American guys that just like take that wholeheartedly, and they will never say anything. And extremely admirable. Got it. But that's just, they're incorrect. Like you can talk about the shit. We're just not going to tell places, names, methods. Okay. It's extremely fucking corny, but it's the only thing that I've found that I could relate to in regards to this. But like the movie Unbreakable with Bruce Willis. Yep. So the entire first half of the movie, he's extremely depressed. Obviously estranged from his wife, kind of thing. And then at some point in the middle of the movie, he does something. He steps out of his bounds and he helps somebody. Mm-hmm. And he's successful at it. He fucking saves a couple folks. One of them dies, whatever, but he does something good. And the next scene is him coming into the house and like carrying his wife up to the bedroom and shit, and like completely changed his attitude. That's the only comparison I can make is that I've tried, like I left military, tried to do, the stay-at-home dad type of thing.
To make up, to get back?
No, it's just, that was the deal. It's like either I'm going to contribute with money or contribute by, taking care of home duties type thing. But it was just like I wasn't doing anything. And that's where like I made that connection and go, that fucking movie is, as soon as he did something, because there was like back in the day when he was in high school, he left the car as a football player, saved those fucking people or whatever, and hadn't done anything since. And then once he did that thing, he felt like a completely different person. And like, that's what he was supposed to do. As a superhero, like that's what he was supposed to do positive things for people. At the very bottom level, like he's doing, incredible things as an individual, but do positive things for people. So I couldn't just not do anything. I couldn't just put the dishes away or feed the fucking horses or whatever. Like I needed to do something. I not to say extraordinary, although it could be for like someone, not necessarily the general population, where I had to fucking do something. So that's actually further on in the thing, whatever. Further on in the process after I got out, initially it was very minuscule. Getting on Instagram, never been on Instagram, got on there.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, and I was just seeing like I don't know. I was just seeing the buffoonery that was fucking being taught and being spread out there, and I was like, dude, this shit I've never heard of, or this shit was like debunked back in the 90s and it's brought back or something. And like, what are we talking about? We just wasted 20 years of experience in warfare.
Right.
And we're talking about this dumb shit. It was crazy. So I was like, well, maybe because I was a nobody, like maybe at a minimum, I can fucking like bring up little tips and tricks here. You know, be a good team sergeant or whatever the fuck. So I was like, here's how you put buckles on a fucking rucksack to adapt to this or whatever. And then add a little inspirational like photo with a comment, like, you know, never quit or whatever. And so that was enough at the time to like, you know, I feel like I'm doing a good job and contributing. Like, okay, I'm getting little tits and bits that people don't really talk about. I'm getting people still interested in you know, continuing on with this fucking business, you know, being the Second Amendment or being prepared or getting ready for the military, whatever the fuck it is. Okay, we're doing good. But at some point, like I had to fucking transition to get more serious. Can't just do little inspirational photos. Yep. Can't show a little like how to like tie your shoes a little bit more betterlier kind of thing. Like,
okay.
Some people need to, they will, I need to do both. I need to do like major muscle movement stuff and then little fucking tips and tricks type of thing. And then I just switched it over. And at that point, when I was doing that transition, I realized like, this is what I got to fucking do. So it's partly like a selfish thing and partly like I feel like I'm doing what's best for the community. Like doing best for the community makes me feel good. So like, you know, it's quite the conundrum, if you will. Like helping makes me feel good.
Okay.
So like, am I doing it because I want to help, or am I doing it because I want to feel good? You know, I don't know. Because I love helping people because it makes me feel good. So I don't know if I'm being like the righteous person of just sacrificing my time and money and all this shit to help. But is that because it's, you know, a dopamine or whatever the fuck, it makes you feel good doing it? I have no idea. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just going to continue to fucking help folks. Like, it does make me feel good. I'll be honest about that. I don't make a lot of money off that shit. You know, Mike can attest to that. Where's that guy? Like, I don't make a ton of money, not even close to a ton of money. Or even significant amount of money whatsoever by fucking having an Instagram page and by teaching this shit whatsoever. But, you know, I'll get in many arguments with the old lady about like, I want to keep doing this shit. You know, I want to keep fucking helping. I would do this shit for free if I could. I love teaching that much. And beyond that, I love helping. You know, I'll say that in quotes, whatever that might be. I love like fucking helping people. So, you know, whatever that is, got it. Don't care. I am fucking stupid, so I would do it for free. Luckily, I have a very smart fucking woman that lives in my house, and she realizes, like, you know, you shouldn't do that. You know, you're very talented, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, you should probably charge people for that, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I am very much still trying to figure my fucking shit out. I am still very much fucking lost. I know, like, it seems that maybe, I don't even know. Maybe it seems like I have my shit together on Instagram or at a class or whatever, but I am still trying to figure my shit out as much as the 21-year-old kid who's trying to come into this, you know, community or whatever, I am still trying to figure this shit out. Where do I like exist in this fucking community? You know, what is my fucking purpose in this thing? I don't think my purpose was to serve and do all that shit. It gave me a lot of experience. It definitely, like, I enjoy who I am right now very fucking much. I don't ever want to be a 20-year-old ever again. None. I'm good. So I appreciate all that experience. Here I am. What the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit? So now I'm back to like being 14 again, you know, wondering what the fuck my purpose is on this planet. And now I'm fucking 42 and I have fucking no idea what the fuck my purpose is on this planet. It's super funny. Like, I'm not devastated by that shit whatsoever. I think it's fucking hilarious.
It's a very interesting perspective, but here's another one, and that is like, have you ever just stopped to think that you're exactly where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, maybe, but you know, if that's the case, like at some point something's got to happen.
Like what though?
I don't know. I'm definitely getting beyond like the scope of my capability with like wondering what, you know, our purpose is on the planet. I say that with the fact that like I don't necessarily prescribe to fate and all this shit. So our purpose and then fate, like, well, that's the same fucking thing. I just think our capabilities as what we are and as unique as we are in this fucking galaxy, I think we're more capable of doing shit. And then like, so having that thought, I think that, or that mindset, it comes into what we do here.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. And like, you know, kids come here all the time, just like, I can't do this. And like, yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You know, you can absolutely do this. Not to diminish you or anything, but a fucking monkey can do this. I am dead set that there's probably been some Russians who had trained a monkey to just.
Probably right, man.
You know, I will put this AK.
I fucking set him into space, brother.
I'll put this AK on this linear thing. All you have to do is do this when I squeeze the little fucking ducky. Yeah. Right. So, you know, you can absolutely fucking do this. Yeah. And you can do fucking 10 times more than this. So, it's really, really fulfilling when at the end of the class, like, guys get out to like 1,100 meters or whatever the fuck, they get past like their comfort level and they're like, holy fuck, never knew I could do that. And then, you know, where does that fucking lead? Now we're getting to this, like, you know, now I'm a fucking disciple or some shit and I'm leading him off to something else. Like, I shot the 1,100 meters, so now I can fucking be president, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, maybe it does. Who fucking knows? But at least they realize something about something that they purchased. They put, you know, a significant amount of money, considering, into this thing. And now they know, like, I made the fucking right decision. Like, that could be fucking game changing.
Absolutely.
But who fucking knows? Like, I'm going all over the place with this shit.
No, I don't think you are at all, man. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking for like they want to do something different. They want to be challenged. The world isn't doing that for them in a healthy way, right? They're just not giving them something specific to do that with. So when they choose something to do and then they can excel at doing that, like, I think that's a really powerful thing for somebody to, you know, in terms of how they learn and how they carry on from there. And you can't control any of that, but what you can do them is show them the way in the moment that they're with you. And so here's some feedback, right? Just in the last couple of days, in terms of the teaching. First off, there's, again, with the sort of quiet, silent type that I may have suggested before, who likes
Keanu Reeves,
who likes
not Chris Pontius.
Long walks on the beach, likes to surf, and
Keanu Reeves, not Chris Pontius.
Not Chris Pontius, right? Like, I think there's the you know. Again, I've spent a few days with you, and you know, and coming in, everything like
you don't have to soften this up.
No, I'm not gonna. I just want to make sure that I'm really clear about it. First off, you're all business, right? But in a way that's different than the business that I think a lot of people hear.
You guys paid money to come. Like, this is the thing that we talked about earlier. Yeah. I'm not sure you're there, but like, so yeah, that's right. The whole Instagram thing or whatever, like you guys paid money to do this shit. So I'm not going to, bang cymbals and all this shit. Like, I'm going to give you what the fuck you paid for.
There was no shortage of that.
And then after the training, like, we'll fuck off all you want, like whatever you want. So
there were no tangents, right? There was no getting off into the weeds. There were a lot of intelligent questions, and some were like, that is a great question. It's a little bit outside the scope of what we're doing right now. We can handle this offline, and maybe that's over a beer or whatever later after the class. But
probably a lot of beers.
Yeah, there's been a couple. It's been 3 days, man. So I think and it's hot as
3
fuck.
days. Wait, I was supposed to be home 2 days ago.
It's hot as fuck here in Georgia, right? So yeah, but again, feedback. So it has been very much about making sure that every moment that has been spent has been with the intention of being productive and providing value. There's been no shortage of that. It's more value actually than I can actually probably assimilate right now in the time that I've spent. Like if you went on the clock from 8:30 a.m. each day till 5 o'clock each day in classroom and practical work, and then outside of that, even into the wee hours of the morning, sometimes there's way more that's been provided that I can actually probably process and absorb. And you actually alluded to that at the end, like. At the end of today, it's like, hey, like there's a lot of information here. And the first time you come through this, you might get this much out of it. If you come back another time or you go to somebody else's class or whatever, you might get this much more. And then it's just this constant building process. So again, from a feedback perspective, like I've got nothing but like what I feel like is the premier holy shit version of Fred and Mike. Right, this weekend, and quite frankly, like it's definitely been beyond my comfort level, and with in terms of what I feel I could fully absorb in the moment. But I've been taking copious notes. Right, I've been asking lots of questions. I know the lines of communication are now open for me to ask more questions as I continue to process and practice on my own, because I've been given practical skills to go back with and execute on like a training plan, because you guys have provided us a way to put that together for ourselves, or for each of us in our own way, right? Mm-hmm. Not like it has to be this way. I want to be clear about this. What I'm saying, it's like, this is not how you do everything perfectly every time. Here's the framework to work within. Here's the fundamentals that you need to understand fit within that framework. And if you're trying to do these things, it all comes back to this. Remember these things as you go out and you practice. And by the way, here's some little nuggets of things that you might think about as you go down the line. And it's been all encompassing. So I think like in terms of what you're providing for the people that are here, that do, as you said, pay the money, make the time and commitment, their time, their dime, to be here and do that. There has been no shortage of that, right? Like there's nobody walking away from this weekend that's going, yeah, I don't know. Like that was just kind of mediocre. Like there's nobody's going to make that kind of comparison. There may be a dude somewhere out there.
There was one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, what do we think? He was never outspoken.
Yeah. So you just, you never know. There's always one of those dudes somewhere that's going to do that. But I think as long as you're doing that, man, you're hitting a home run every single time.
But trying to find the way to say, like, my immediate, so here it is. My immediate reaction is like, I don't give a shit. I just want folks to get, whatever amount of information they can out of that thing. Like, whether it's 10%, whether it's fucking 50%, 80%, whatever the fuck. They might hate it. They might hate the whole fucking course. But there was one thing.
Yep, one thing.
That they didn't realize and they fucking took away with. And they gave us a fucking 1.5 stars, whatever. I don't give a shit. I honestly don't give a fuck. I am the worst fucking business owner on the planet. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about money. I don't fucking care. If there was even an inspirational thing, not even an educational thing, that fucking guy, gal, him, her, whatever the fuck, walks away with, like, great. That's all I give a shit about. Like I said before, okay, I'm a fucking idiot. If I get I could do this for free. Don't give a shit. I have a family. I have a responsibility. Luckily, I have a wife who is smart. She's an attorney. And she tells me, like, you know what, you're a fucking idiot, you know, and like,
in the most loving way, I'm sure.
Thank God, no, she says that. Thank God she exists, and I need to take care of my family as well. So, okay, we'll do that. But, you know, I don't fucking care what the percentage somebody walks away with
as long
as there's a little bit of positive percentage in there. 1%, 90%, don't fucking care.
Yeah, and I think, let's be honest, like a good deal of that has to do with the mindset of the person coming into it, right? So they have to want to do that. But I understand where you're coming from. Like as a coach who did this for a lot of years in a different industry, like I can completely relate. And I think most students and any other coach out there listening can get on board with that, right? Transitioning real quick as we're sort of getting close to the end here, I think, and that is with on the business end of things. I've heard you say this a couple times. You're an idiot, like you don't care about money. Like this is, but at the end of the day, it is important to be, to know that what you're doing is productive and producing. Like being productive is important. And this is fairly new, right? I mean, for you specifically, you're only into this business end of things outside of the military for a couple of years now, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So, and you have what I feel like in my experience this week, and I shared this on the talk. I don't know when this comes out, but when we drop this, but I shared this on the talk when I did talk with Mike about how I ran into you guys, and I literally ran into you guys. The story goes for again. However this comes out, however people hear this story, I'm going to tell it again. I'm at SHOT Show. I've just arrived. I've been there kind of for the day. My guy Eli shows up, with the cameras and all the stuff that he typically does to help me set up the studio. And I walk onto the elevator, and there's you and Mike standing in the elevator, right? And I'm like, holy shit, these are the guys. Like I know a little bit about these guys, but
you were on the right side. We're in the
I was like, I don't know. I know.
I'm sorry, left side.
I know who they are, but I don't know them. And so I just took the opportunity. I was like, dudes, you guys are the guys. How are you tonight? Kind of thing. We just 20 seconds later, we're at the bottom of that elevator. We're on the first floor, and we're walking out onto the floor of the Venetian with the circle bar, the infamous circle bar, and whatever. Oh man, right? I mean,
so much time.
Yeah, I know. There's too much time spent there. Well, that night we ended up spending several hours, having conversation. And the where this goes, I think, and the relevance of this conversation is just like my gut feeling and my intuition after talking to you guys that these guys have something of value to provide, and there's a very interesting play between the two of you in terms of what you're bringing to the table. I have a very similar partnership with my partner in life and partner in crime and partner in business, Cece. And that is we both bring very, very different things to the table, and they complement one another in different ways. And I'm blessed to be in that position for a lot of reasons. But, as I'm talking to you and I'm listening to Mike talk about what he's doing and listening to you talk about kind of where you're coming from and these things, it starts to become very apparent to me that I have to know more about this, right? And so, the partnership in terms of the business aspect and what's being built here and the way it's being built is a little bit, I don't want to call it unorthodox because I don't think that's the right term, but it's definitely different than what you see generally happening sort of in this space, is as far as how people are building their business for the short and the long term. I see a lot of people trying to grab at things right away, sensationalize things, make it sexy, make it, like flashy, or you want to do this because we are the authority on this particular thing. That's very much different than what I see you and hear you guys doing and what I've experienced this weekend. So the question is, I'll shut up. Like, let's talk about Mike for a second. Tell me about Mike. And, as we kind of get to the end, like I said, and the relationship that you guys have and what's happening here between Precore and Counting Coup and how it's evolved and where it's going.
So I don't think what we're doing, maybe I mean, maybe we're on the edge of it, but I don't think it's anything that's groundbreaking. Like you look at like guys like, you know, Matt Pronka and Ben Stoker, like, so, you know, heavy high end military, heavy high end civilian, you know,
Professional shooter.
experts on both ends coming together and doing their thing. I mean, I honestly haven't paid attention to it. Maybe it is not an uncommon thing, but there has been a transition at the end of the 20-year war where those guys are getting out, and those heavily experienced guys who have start to finish been at war realize, you know, what is required to be a very good war fighter or whatever, teaming up with civilians who are experts at shooting or whatever it may be, knowing that like those guys have dedicated their lives to this thing, you know, whatever that might be, radios, guns, field craft, whatever the fuck it is. And like they understand that like those guys are the experts. I don't have the time to become an expert at that thing. I have to be good at all these things. I'm going to team up with that guy. Mm-hmm. That's how we're going to fucking make this happen. And on their way out, they're like, you know what? Let's teach shooting. I'm going to team up with this dude because he was the best one that did this thing. Mm-hmm. We're going to teach pistol shooting, and you know the two of us are going to come together with my experience in the military, his experience as, you know, grandmaster shooting. We'll come together and we'll fucking do this thing. So I don't know how long that's been going on. I fucking dare say that we were the pioneers of that shit. Fucking no, there's no way. There's got to be someone out there that's fucking done it before. But that's one of the aspects of it, is that my military experience, me and Mike actually connected in 2009, I believe. He was still with Magpul at the time, when they had a training sector and an actual airborne unit. I don't remember what they call it. You know, I think they do the dragonfly thing. I don't remember if it was a honeybee flying and stinging something or whatever, but they had an airborne unit on there, and Mike was one of the guys. He was heading it.
Okay.
And that's where I met him. It was a Flight 1, you know, jump course. And so we met there, like, holy shit, okay, cool. We did a couple more jump things together. And then at some point he transitioned into long range shooting, and he's actually in the Magpul. I don't know what it's called.
Videos.
Wait, he's in like the long range shooting Magpul video that had Todd Hodnick in it, and it had Travis Haley and fucking Chris Costa and shit. He's one of the guys in there. So when he had gone through that, like, he started getting into long range shooting. There were some similarities between parachuting and actually putting bullets to the air, which kind of makes sense. Like, parachutes go this way, bullets go this way. They go both through the air. So he really got into it, really got invested in it. And then he came back to the unit and provided long-range shooting classes to us. And I went through like 3 or 4 of those things with him. And then so we had that relationship. He was still doing things. I was out doing other things, whatever the fuck. And then transitioning out of the military, he kind of brought up the idea, like, let's keep this thing going. Let's just keep doing this shit. And, you know, obviously I'm a lost puppy. Like, yeah, sounds good. Let's fucking do it. So we started out doing long range shooting stuff, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I fucking love long range shooting. I get more stimuli hitting that gong at fucking 1,000 meters than I do like putting 20 rounds into this at fucking 7 meters. It's just whatever. You know, neither one is less than the other, but I just appreciate that more than this. That's fine. So I got into that, was more than happy to do so. And COVID happened, you know, and long range shooting in general is expensive already. So trying to figure out, like, how can we make this more applicable to folks, twofold, you know, how can we get them into long range shooting to get interested in it, which every American should be. You know, you shouldn't be a 15-meter shooter. You know, it's not a submachine gun. It's a fucking rifle.
It's a rifle for sure.
We call it a carbine. It's a rifle. Carbine's like French, I think. French for rifle.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, maybe. I saw it in a movie or something. But it's a fucking rifle. It's not a car. It's not a submachine gun. It can go places. So as an American understanding fucking rifles, you should probably be able to shoot that thing fucking far. I think there's just a heritage thing there. And it's a very emotional fucking thing. It shouldn't shouldn't be taken seriously, but
don't even get me started.
But you should be as an American proficient as a in a
rifle.
I mean,
everybody's got one now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you should. You should have a handgun, you should have a rifle. Yeah. People are gonna fucking burn their little ears about that, but it's your fucking right. Why not? Might as well fucking sew your fucking mouth shut, because that's also your right to be able to speak. Yep. But if you don't believe in one right, why not believe in the other kind of thing? Right. Like, that makes sense. So anyway, so COVID happened. Really wanted to get people interested in long range shooting, but at the same time, COVID is happening and ammo was a thing. So how can we do that? What does everyone typically have is some kind of fucking carbine.
Yep.
And that's one of the best things you can learn off of with long distance shooting with 22s or 223s or 5.56s, whatever it is, because the winds just fuck you up. You can the math will get you there. Computers will get you there as far as elevation goes, environments and stuff. But like the wind, there's no fucking computer. There's no fucking formula that will get you there.
It's a bit of an art.
Yeah. You can get in a general area, but it comes down to the spotter. You got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So, little bullets, big time air, is a really hard thing to fucking figure out. So, hey, you know what? Let's build
people figure it out.
Yeah, let's build a distance carbine course. Well, there's a backside caveat to this. The internet hate about 5.56 and how shitty the round is and all this shit.
Really? I hadn't heard anything
Never
about
heard of
that.
it. No. Yeah, no. It's all in my DMs. It's not public. I'll post them later. But how fucking piece of shit the 5.56 round is and how ineffective it is past 300 meters. Very, very frustrating. I actually noticed that as I was transitioning out before, me and Mike did this thing. It was like, this is fucking
weird, right?
Who is thinking this? Yeah, it's super fucking weird that people think that a projectile going at like 250 feet per second or whatever is not lethal. So, I just watched a video today. Like, I'm into baseball now because my son loves fucking baseball. And it shows, like, how fast someone's swinging. There's, like, a device you can put on the dude's bat.
Yeah, of course.
And, like, the fastest guy was 67 miles per hour.
That's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast. How fast do you think that bullet's going? Fucking, 700 meters.
Yeah, would you stand in front of that guy while he's swinging that bat?
Would you take a
Louisville Slugger?
No. Would you take an ice pick?
No.
Would you take an ice pick?
No, that's the answer.
65 miles an hour to your fucking gut.
Oh.
Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, hell no.
Like, that's a dumb argument. Just fucking let it go. Yeah. It's a dumb argument. Just let it go. What are the ballistics going on down in there? Like, shut up. It's dumb. Even then, like, let's say that bullet is tumbling or whatever. I'll take a fucking little police baton and I'll knock you right in the fucking temple.
How'd that feel?
And how did that feel?
Yeah.
It won't kill you, sure, or whatever, but, you will sit there and think about.
It'll leave a mark.
Do I really want to do this shit? Yeah. Or do I want to go home and eat bread and fuck my wife or whatever the fuck?
That'll leave a mark.
Yeah. People, go. I'm sorry, I can't say that. It's really stupid. But if you haven't been to war and you talk about war things like that, like receiving fire, taking rounds, being shot at some point but not reacting to it, shut the fuck up. I have seen heroic things with guys receiving rounds and doing heroic things, but like those were incredible men, like very fucking athletic, and as far as morals and all this other shit, like top tier fucking individuals, and you want to sit there as a fucking scrawny little 112 pound piece of shit behind a fucking iPhone and tell me that a 5.56 round won't affect you at 800 meters. Shut the fuck up. get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
no, I couldn't
It
agree with
is
you more,
super
man.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's super great. Internet's fucking great though. So fantastic.
It is. It wins every day.
Oh, it's awesome.
Undefeated.
I used to get really, really upset about it. Like
I
right
can't
when I was,
anymore, man.
that's what made me like caveat to back to what we're talking about. Like that's what got me into this thing. Seeing these ridiculous comments and wanting to debunk them.
Yeah, you have to change your approach, right?
You have to, but even then, like you have to also understand that there's some people that are just not going to change their opinions.
Nope. And you can't. I mean, continue to try is like what the definition of insanity. You know, like doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Like that ain't gonna happen. Like just leave it alone.
No, some folks are just they're dead set. I don't know why. I don't know where this comes from.
It's
like,
weird, right?
I used to idolize military guys. Like my dad was a MACV SOG guy as a pilot, and my godfather was a MACV SOG guy on the ground. And they were surrounded by those types of people my entire life, and like I idolize those fucking guys, and they're all military dudes. And now it's like the complete opposite. It's like you gain prestige by being able to one up that guy kind of thing. Even though that guy maybe he's putting out some kind of bad information on something or whatever the fuck. It could happen, but that guy has been in through like 300 fucking firefights, and he is still standing there making videos. You have made it through 300 bags of fucking Cheetos,
and you're sitting in your mom's basement
like,
underneath Lightning McQueen sheets, eating a peanut butter and jelly. I
understand that like we change generationally as people and stuff, and I've had this conversation with guys who have made their transition out of the military, and they come to me like, these motherfuckers,
they don't get it.
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, it's a new generation that they think things differently. Memes are a thing, and it whatever. But at the same time, like, I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. Like, there's no respect for anything. Nothing.
In getting it and whatever, that's a whole thing. It doesn't mean it has to be like that or needs to stay like that. Like maybe the approach to communicating it needs to change if you want to be impactful, if you want to make a difference. But it doesn't make what you're saying any less true or factual or whatever. You just have to work out, how do I say this? How do I put this in a way where dude is going to understand this? That's, I think, the most frustrating part for people. And if you're not changing or at least examining how you're doing that, that's on you, right? Now, that's not to say that, what you're doing, if that kid in the basement isn't getting it, if that doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong, right? Or how you're saying it is wrong. It just because you're still going to get those people. What is wrong though is you getting all fucking your panties in a wad about it. Because there are people out there that don't seem to get it. I don't get that part. Like, I just I'll question your question with the question.
Yeah.
Like where's this coming from, man? Like, I think.
But where's your question coming from? You're like 26 years old, and you've been a computer engineer for your entire life. What are you talking about?
Man,
this has been my life.
I haven't served. I'm not challenging it. If I have a question, I'm just going to ask the question, right? I'm going to try to put it in a respectful, well-informed type of way, right? That's my position, into doing it. And I just, again, I think that's been lost on people. Like they're just throwing shit out there, and that's what turns into the trolls and the 112 pound, whatever kid who's saying whatever he thinks he needs to say because he watched a YouTube video, or whatever. But I think that the transition into being able to doing that well is a real challenge for people these days, and then also accepting what is reality. For a lot of people is also hard for the people that are trying to project or provide reality to those people. There is a gap here, right? And that's again, just coming back all the way back to the beginning is just kind of how you're doing that. I hear you say, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Like, who am I? I'm just giving you what's in my head or whatever else. The best part about that is what you're doing. And then, the question was about Mike and how he's doing it. And how you guys are doing it together is that people can argue that stuff all they want, but what I get is it's like, look, we're going to say what we need to say. We're not going to say too much. We're going to come at it from a couple of different perspectives. If you come to this class, what you get is both of those, at a very, very deep level, or this particular class, right, which is the one you just described, like the distance carbine, and the trying to overcome these objections and these things that people have and these belief systems that people might have. But I think it's going beyond that. And what's interesting is like when I look around out there, kind of in the world and in the genre, like who's doing that really well. There's a small circle of people that are really trying hard. But what I think you've done a really good job today of doing is really articulating how frustrated you are, right, with a lot of it, right, in terms of delivering the message and getting this weird feedback or hearing these weird things, but that you're not stopping, and that while you might be a little bit frustrated at times, it's not changing who you are, what you're delivering, or how you're doing it. Like, you're not going to be changed by the pushback that you might be getting. That to me is very refreshing.
I wouldn't say that I'm not frustrated. I would say that specific types of criticism like affect me. Like when an individual comes back with like, criticism on something or whatever, but it's outside the realm of what I was talking about, that upsets me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like that's that's not what I was saying. And I don't put that on the individual. I fucking like,
how could I phrase that differently?
Like what did I like? Maybe I don't say that to the person, but I'm sitting here thinking like, what did I say that like who? And that's probably not the right way, because it's like one guy out of like whatever 698 fucking likes or whatever, like right. One guy. But that still affects me. That's one fucking guy though. That's one guy that like I didn't connect to. That he took the time, whatever you that matters or not, whatever. But he took the time to write to you and say like, I don't agree. Here's why, and like that affects me. Like when I started all this fucking thing out, my whole fucking premise was that little things fucking matter. I always tell this fucking story. I probably tell it like in every fucking podcast. But had a good buddy of mine. We're at a wake. Like buddy died. We're at the bar. Typical fucking thing. And commander came up to him, and small talk, whatever. Like, how are the guys? Typical fucking commander bullshit. They don't care. You're like, so what do the guys really care about? And the dude was like intoxicated, not drunk, but like,
yeah, feeling loose.
Yeah, enough to know like, I don't give a shit that you're a fucking colonel right now. And he's like, you know what, sir? You guys always tell us not to care about the little things, and that's all we give a fuck about.
Wow.
Like, you tell us like, look at the big picture, blah blah blah, but you could literally strap a nuke to us and tell us that we're jumping into North Korea, and all I'm going to say is like, can I keep my beard? Like, we got the mission. This is what we train to every fucking day. Every fucking day, this is what we do. We come in 6 o'clock in the morning, we leave 6 o'clock at night, and we fucking train all goddamn day to every fucking goddamn thing that we got to do, which is everything. People talk about like special operators aren't good shooters. Well, we got to do fucking everything. Literally everything. Because one of you dumbasses are going to go to Africa and think you're going to save someone's fucking life, and you're going to roll the fuck up, and we're going to have to come out there and fucking save
rescue
your ass.
You, yeah.
So like, we got to do everything. We got to know ladders. We got to know how to fly a plane. We got to know how to fucking drive a boat. We got to know how to fly UAVs. We got to know how to set up a fucking airfield in the middle of fucking nowhere, and know that a C-130 or a C-17 can fucking land there. We got to be able to put helicopters here. We got to be able to fucking fly this. It's fucking dumb. And you complain like, I'm a better shooter. Shut the fuck up. We got a lot of things to do. But yeah, it's just, it blows my fucking mind that this shit is such a fucking thing. Again, it comes back to the whole respect thing. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I had so much admiration for any time I met like a Mac VSOG guy. I'm not sure you're familiar with those dudes.
I mean, this goes back to like the Vietnam area, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's when the special operations really got started.
Yes. Well, when like JSOC was becoming a thing, like when they realized like something needs to come out of this.
We need something different. Yeah.
I absolutely idolize the fucking guys. And guess what? Those guys, all of them, were flawed beyond belief.
Everybody is, man.
But
We're
like,
humans.
nobody was like, oh, you're Saga, it must mean you're an alcoholic or some dumb shit or whatever. You can't shoot well or whatever the fuck. It was crazy. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm right, but that's what I grew up with, and I fucking idolize the heroics of those fucking guys. And now coming through this, and even though I say this, like, no, there's guys out there that are portraying to be something that they weren't, kind of thing.
Yep.
I get it.
We see that all the time.
All the time. But the problem is, or the thing is that guys, it'll come to light. Like, you don't have to worry about it. That shit will come out. We'll figure them out.
Yeah.
Every fraud will get taken care of.
It comes to the top at some point.
Yeah. But without that, like, there's just so much fucking hate against the military guys. It's so fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's internal. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's you guys beating one another up. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, those are the guys that have the inside fucking scoop on the individual.
They know, yeah.
Which is super crazy that you think, like I'm just going to go on the internet and say I was this thing. And, like, dude, that's universal, man. Like, everyone sees
all did
that,
yeah.
And, like, we all know it just takes one guy to one day get Instagram on his iPhone and decide to do something, and you pop up and it's fucking over. What are you thinking?
Right.
What are you thinking? Like, you're going to get discovered, kind of shit. So yeah, I struggle with it. I was actually going to do a video about that. No, I'm sorry. I am doing a video about that. I'm going to do a podcast with Redacted about.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Talking about, like, trying to figure out who
these people are.
Yeah, like, who do you trust, kind of thing. You know, and I can't. I'm going to ruin that.
Yeah. That's good. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I will say that it is fucking absolutely tough, and you have a fucking really tough job because, one, you don't know the guy's background and you don't know the individuals where he used to work for, so you can't.
There's no verification. Yeah.
Two, this is a really important one that I want to bring out. None of you want to hear drama. None of you want to hear guys bickering back and forth. All you want is information. So you want the solidified instructor, but you don't want anyone calling out and saying that's not the guy. He's not who he's saying he is. So what the fuck do you want, kind of thing. It's a thing that I've talked with a bunch of guys about, like, should we stay, like, in this realm of quote unquote negativity and shit when we're trying to do the right thing and tell you, like, this guy didn't do what he said. Do you really want to put your money, invest in that guy with your money, kind of thing? Right. At the same time, like, well, we don't want drama. I don't know what the fuck you want. Yeah. You want fake news? You want drama? You don't want...
It's a tough spot.
It's super fucking tough.
It's a tough spot.
At the same time, like, you have this dilemma, like, guys don't want to fucking rat out fellow operator, kind of thing. So when a dude does do that, there's I hate to say this, but, like, there's an amount of commitment that that guy is doing to you as a consumer by ratting out his fucking brother to tell you, like, this guy is not who he fucking is. Save your fucking money.
It's a heavy burden.
I say that reluctantly.
It's a heavy burden.
Yeah, I say that fucking... I'm not condoning it. I don't know. This is a very gray area. But, like, if a dude tells you honestly, then this dude is not who he is. Don't trust this guy. He just saved you a fucking shit ton of money, and now you shit that guy for causing drama, kind of thing. Like, okay, like, why do you think guys want to quit this shit all the fucking time?
Yeah, it's a very tough space to be in, man. And especially if you're coming at it with good intentions and you're having to continually, ride that line. And I guess, for lack of a better term, like, just play the field, in a way that you're not trying to piss people off. You're trying to provide good information. There's a lot. It's a balancing act, man. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot of things. You're
never going to win.
No.
They're never going to win. Yeah. It's just, you got to find that kind of in-between thing.
Yeah, I think it's a super good perspective. I think, again, for people that are, in that, what you're talking about, and the people that see it, like me or others, that are trying to kind of figure it out. And There's a lot of ambiguity there.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and it leaves a lot of gray area for people to have to make their own decisions.
But there you go. You, at the end of the day, you had to put work in. You got to make your own fucking decisions.
1,000%.
I can't tell you that you're the guy to go to for working out. You can't tell them that I'm the guy. Like, I have no idea who the fuck you are. Out. No idea who you are, what your requirements are.
They got to figure it out.
Figure it the fuck out.
They got to figure it out. So in terms of figuring it out, man, what do you want to leave people with, dude, in terms of, you know, figuring out their own process as we kind of wrap up? You know, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things. We went a lot of different directions tonight, but, you know, for the people that are out there that, you know, there's going to be people listening that are, you know exactly who you are, and Mike for that matter, and, you know, watching what you guys are doing and intrigued. There's going to be a lot of people here that are like, yeah, I kind of heard and not really sure. And, you know, part of the goal is to get that message out. But what do you want to leave them with, man? What do you want them to know? What's the nugget or the piece of advice that you would give the consumer in terms of their journey and all the things we talked about? Big question.
Yeah, it's a fucking loaded question, but it's just a matter of this thing that we're all going through. And I'll leave you. It's going to be super generic, and people are going to be upset about it. This thing we're all going through the same shit, and that's not to diminish what it is you're experiencing. It's just to say that, like, we're all a part of this, and, like, if you get to that point where you're lost, we're going through the same fucking thing. And you can reach out, and inshallah, like, someone else will be there who has experienced the same thing. It can kind of get you maybe that specific situation, or there's a lot of people you can get through the general fucking thing that you're going through. And I want to leave this generic because if I'm talking to however many fucking people, I have no idea. If it's just a training issue, hey, someone's experienced it, they can figure it out. If it's a life experience, something that's a life-changing kind of thing, guess what? Someone has been through it. Again, not diminishing what you have been through. It could be very unique, but someone has been through that as well and can get through that situation as well. This shit, I don't know. Again, I'm not Jesus. I'm not a God. I am not all-knowing. This stuff that we're going through right now is very fucking unique. It's very fucking precious. We have as much faith as we have in whatever we have no idea what's coming next.
Yep.
And if you spend your entire life thinking that this life is meaningless, or this life is only for something that's going to come next, man, you might miss a lot of shit.
Yeah. And the immortal words of Ferris Bueller: life moves pretty fast. If you don't look around, you just might miss. Don't stop to look around, you just might miss it, right?
It is absolutely fucking true, man. Like, I regret every day that I missed with my, first two kids. Like, I'm never going to get that shit back. But if I were, like, extremely religious, like, I'll just get that shit back later kind of thing. Or if I was extremely depressed and dumb, like it never would have happened anyway. They would have hated me kind of shit. Like, you can't have extreme depression or extreme faith on the other end. You gotta be in that fucking moment. You gotta be in that fucking moment. And I think that's relevant for, experiencing life in itself or training with a fucking rifle. If you're just going out there to blast 3,000 rounds, like, what have you fucking learned? Yeah. Be in the fucking moment, have a game planned, and fucking go out there, learn something. You don't need to blast fucking 3,000 rounds to understand your weapon system kind of shit. You just have a fucking plan. Quit being a lazy fuck. At the same time, on a day-to-day basis, outside of the fucking training range, appreciate every fucking goddamn moment you got. You have no idea when it's going to be over. You have no idea. And that's not to be a kind of like a morbid thing of, what we have going on around the world, but it could be you, it could be them, it could be something you never thought of, and for whatever reason that triggers you, and that fucking ruins your life. I have had experience that, like a guy that I never really fucking interacted with, but we were friends or whatever the fuck, and then he killed himself. Never knew that would affect me. It did, whatever. and then I wished I had done something. Well, I don't know if I would, but I wish I would have like at least talked to the dude, kind of thing. So like
Eliminate those.
Yeah,
Eliminate those things.
take every fucking moment. An individual walks up to you in the middle of the street, like don't immediately, diminish that guy. Like maybe he needs something, or maybe they fucking just want to say hi or what. I have no idea. I don't know what fucking scenario I want to put in. Past friends that just want to talk for a minute. You get that fucking ring on the phone, and it's the dude that you haven't talked to in years, or the fuck, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, that might be the fucking one moment that he needed somebody, kind of thing. Don't fucking take that shit for granted. Because, one, you might regret it later on in life or whatever might affect you. But two, man, it's just the fucking right thing to do.
Yeah, you could really help somebody, right?
It's just the right thing to do. And who's to say, like, you have to change the minds of millions of people to be a great human being?
One at a time, right?
One fucking person. And again, that butterfly effect thing does occur. Like, that guy has kids. It continues on, blah, blah, blah. You can diminish that all you want, but it's still a thing.
It's been a theme on the show lately, man. I think those are wise words. And I didn't know what to expect kind of walking into this conversation, but it was definitely more than I expected. And
this is the shit I care about. Like,
I get that about
I'm into this. I love shooting. I love tactics, all this stuff. But getting the people. So hang on. Getting into aliens, getting into technology, getting all that shit. That's amazing. But what really matters in the end of the day is getting in the fucking people, because we're just getting more and more disconnected. More and more disconnected. Texting is more convenient than a phone call. Posting a picture with no context whatsoever is more convenient than actually, like, connecting with friends or whatever the fuck, setting up a date at for lunch or some shit. It's just inconvenient. I got too much to do. What is more fucking important than connecting with fucking people? And this is what this is all about. It's like, let's dispel all this fucking horse shit about whatever it is. Let's all connect. Let's fucking talk, instead of just throwing shit at each other like a bunch of monkeys on Instagram about what the fucking best caliber is, what the best grain is, what the best barrel length is. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
so silly, right?
It's so fucking dumb. What the best camo is, like, it's so fucking dumb. And that's what detracts me from wanting to talk about that shit and wanting to talk about aliens. Like, at least I don't understand this shit. This other dumb shit, like,
it's so pretty clear.
Stupid.
It's pretty clear.
It's so stupid. Get what you can afford. Whatever. We'll save that for whatever time. But it's so goddamn depressing talking about this shit. And guys, let me tell you again. It doesn't fucking matter. Get something that works and train the fuck out of it.
Yeah, go shoot it.
Yeah, like, nobody in 1776 was like, oh, what the fuck? Is that the
Johnny over there?
Is that the new 48-inch fucking carbine? 48-inch carbine?
He's got the 2-inch travel musket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way that can reach out to 50 meters. That's bullshit. Yeah. Wait, I'll show you 200 meters.
Did you hear what Johnny did? Yeah. It's so silly.
It's so fucking dumb. Yeah. No, they just went to work, man. Yeah. They fucking went day to day, shot fucking critters, ate, survived, made firewood, and then
created a country about it.
Yeah, these dudes in fucking ice cream cone uniforms fucking showed up, and they fucking blasted.
They dominated them.
So like, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Get something to put something in a holster, something. Get something to fucking sling something and put something downrange something, and that's fucking it.
I love that, man.
That's it. You don't need 20 of them. You don't need fucking 2 of them. You just need these things and be the best motherfucker on the planet
with whatever those things are.
Exactly. Get an AK. Get an AUG. I don't give a shit. It's so fucking stupid.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Fred, I love you, dude. Like, this has been great. Like I said, more than I expected. Not what I expected, but also more at the same time. I appreciate you and for all the things that you provided me this weekend. The insight, the time, the graciousness, also the patience. And the wisdom, that you've shared. it's been an experience that I will take with me, and continue to take with me. And again, like I said, and I've said many times this week, I'm a processor. You got to give me a little time to kind of funnel this shit through all the gaps in my brain that need to be filled back up and things like that. And you know, that said, I could not be more of an advocate for you and what you're doing out there at so many levels, particularly you and Mike and the things that you're doing here. So, like I said, man, like, couldn't be more grateful. Thanks for your time, dude.
Super fun, dude. I appreciate you know, conversation. You talk about I'm not approachable, whatever stoic or whatever. This is not the case. Like
That's clear.
I want to talk about shit. This is how we figure all this bullshit out. Not to get philosophical and stuff, but like we've just unlearned how to communicate, and the way to communicate is like this.
Yep. That's why I'm here, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can dispel that with this shit. Unfortunately, like the people that watch can't interact. Maybe there'll be some other way in the near future where they pop out in the camera. We can high five them and fucking.
The aliens will make that happen for us at some point.
Oh, it's already there. No, don't even get there. The technology is already there. It's been discovered since 1954, guys. It's been there.
Oh boy, that's the next one.
But yes, just let's keep communicating instead of you know, shit talking on retarded letters on the internet kind of thing.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's the only way to fucking figure this shit out.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, appreciate your time.